Broadcasting from Meredith Hall Studios, you're listening to Covering the Field Sports Show, featuring sports analysts Big Rich Martin, Rockin, Ronnie McKinnon, Gator Gates. And now here's your host, Joe the Answer Ellison.
Welcome to the show, everybody. In this episode, we're happy to have the return of Gator Gates, which means besides football and baseball, we'll again be covering racing, hockey, golf, tennis, and fighting. But first, we need to talk about football with our expert, Big Richard Martin. How are you doing?
Doing great, Joe. And how about that show we had last week at the Capitol Barbershop?
It was great.
It was great. Great support out there. The food was great. They were smoking meat out in the parking lot. A lot of people supported the show. It was great to see everybody out there. Thanks to Jeff and Tom for supporting us and supporting our show and supporting the people of here in Carson City. And it's good to talk about football and baseball with them. And now let's talk about this NCAA double-up football because it's time for football. We're starting this weekend.
I know. We're going to have some real football this Saturday. It's the beginning of the college football regular season. And who took advantage of the transfer portal this year?
Well, you know, the Trojans of Southern Cal were the number one transfer portal. People definitely took so much. They took Caleb Williams, and they also took Mario Williams, you know, from Oklahoma. They also picked up a tight end. And I think that as long as their defense, it looks good for Lincoln Riley out there. Also, big surprise, Jordan Addison, who was the Fred Blitnikoff winner. He went from Pitt and to Southern Cal. So another great pickup. So that's another weapon. I guess after Kenny Pickett left, he said he was done with Pitt and he wants to go see Caleb Williams out there in the Southern California weather. Also Jackson Dart, who was in playing for Southern Cal, he went to Pitt, and so he's going to be taking over for Kenny Pickett. JT Daniels, who was also a Georgia quarterback last year, and also he was a Trojan the year before that, he's going to West Virginia. So we have the first game is West Virginia, the backyard brawl, West Virginia versus Pitt. So we're going to have two new quarterbacks from Southern Cal playing in that game. Your boy Spencer Rattler, who was the Heisman Trophy favorite last year, got replaced by Caleb Williams. He is now going to, with Beamer over to the Southern Carolina Gamecocks.
Yeah, that's a lot of movement there.
Right. What about Casey Thompson from Texas? He took over the job last year as quarterback, and now he's going to Nebraska. Bo Nix from Auburn, he switches over to Oregon, which is going to be playing in the game, I believe, against Georgia this year to start off their week. Jaden Daniels from ASU, the scrambling dual threat quarterback, he's going to LSU, and the LSU quarterback, Max Johnson, is going to Texas A&M. So a lot of movement, over 300 people in the portal, players in the portal this year. So you have to keep track of this when you're getting ready to start your football season. New faces and new places. But, you know, what about the Oklahoma? Everybody's leaving Oklahoma. Who's coming in? Dylan Gabriel from
Central Florida.
Right? Florida. So they got their quarterback. So somebody wants to come to Oklahoma, obviously. So there's your new faces and new places.
Wow, that's a lot, and certainly that's going to make a season interesting. I'm not a USC fan, so it's going to be rough to watch the ex-Oklahoma players over there.
And ex-coach.
And ex-coach. They are
and ex-water boy.
Yeah. Everybody went.
And the trainer.
Mm-hmm. And they are ranked number 14 in the country, which I think is way too high. I think it's going to take a year or two to get this together for USC.
Right.
But
why not? We're worried about their defense out there. Their offense is going to be just fine.
All right. So it's time to make some predictions. Who's going to win what is year in and year out the strongest league in college football, the Southeastern Conference?
Well, let's start with the SEC. Alabama, I think, will definitely take their division. So Bryce Young, you know, the comeback Heisman Trophy winner, trying to be the first one since Ohio State's Archie Griffin to win back-to-back. He has a great Jamar Gibbs and Trey Sanders as their receivers. But who do you think led Alabama in touchdowns last year?
Okay.
Receiving.
It wasn't Jameson Williams?
Cameron Law had 8 touchdowns, so as a tight end. So I should have said returning ones. So the returning coming back, I'm sure Williams was the best. But eight touchdowns from a tight end. You know they like to go to the tight end. And and the others at the North, I like Georgia. It's going to be close between them and, I think LSU will be better this year. But I like Georgia to go that, so we'll have that Georgia-Alabama comeback. Mm-hmm. They have a dual threat, Kenny McIntosh as their running backs, and Kendall Milton will be there with them. And who do you think had more touchdowns, Brock Bauer last year or Cameron Law?
Brock Bauer.
Brock Bauer had 13 touchdowns as a tight end, so 882 yards. So good pick there, the answer, Joe. So I'm definitely going Alabama, Georgia. We'll see what happens. Usually one of those teams, is definitely going to get the number 1 seed, and then Texas A&M could sneak in.
Texas A&M, maybe Kentucky. That might be the sleeper in there.
Yeah, they have a good quarterback out there. He's supposed to be going in the first round.
Okay. How about the Big Ten?
Well, I'm going to go with Ohio State, of course. They just look so great. C.J. Stroud, who is also the favorite this year to win the Heisman Trophy. He had such a great second half. And Tyrell Henderson, their running back, you can get him at the Heisman Trophy to win the Heisman Trophy at 40-1. So I do have...
It seems unlikely it's going to be a running back. It just never seems to end up that way. It's always a quarterback.
It's always a quarterback or a wide receiver. We did have that a couple years ago.
Once in a while.
So, and so speaking of receivers, Jaden Smith, Najibia, last year had that great Rose Bowl in that exciting game against Utah, had 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's probably good enough for most receivers for the whole month. He had that in one game. But I'm going to give you a sink or swim, Joe, the answer. Okay. Who led last year? You also had Garrett Wilson, Chris Olive, and Jaden Najibia. Is that right?
Yeah, sure. Close enough.
Close enough. Who do you think led in receptions and yards?
I was going to say Chris Olave just because I can pronounce his name, and I don't want to say this guy, so I'll say Chris Olave.
Okay, it was actually this guy, Jason Smith, Najibia. Yeah. He had actually had 1,606 yards receiving and 95 receptions. He didn't lead in touchdowns, but he did get 3 in that last game. He's definitely going to be the most explosive player in football, I think. Watching this year, a great Heisman Trophy. You can get him right now at between 20 and 25-1 for the Heisman Trophy.
All right. Shall we? We all like Ohio State.
We all like Ohio State. In the other division, I'm going to go with Wisconsin. If their quarterback can get it together, Graham Mertz, he had 10 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, so that seemed to shoot him in the foot with turnovers. But they do have great quarterback Braylon Allen. He had 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns last year. So we look at, but I say Ohio State comes out front. You got to like your Michigan guy. We have our Nevada quarterback out there. McNamara's playing there, but their backup, who played really good last year, he's going to be right there too, so they're going to have a dual threat with him. But I say Ohio State is way too potent, way too powerful. I think they'll be the number 1 or number 2 seed going into that.
Right. I agree. So far, tough ones, Alabama and Ohio State. And the ACC. Here we go.
ACC, and it's another one. Clemson has got definitely the most. Well, they do. They're in the Atlantic Division there, and their defense is so great. DJ Uiagalelei, he has to play better. Obviously, he has the size. We said, linebacker, playing linebacker at quarterback. He wasn't very sharp at all. Throwing the ball inaccurate, that was his problem. When he does run the ball, he was well. I think he has another year, and I think they get it together definitely. The Central, I like Pitt. Kenan Slavis came over from USC also, so he'll be running the thing for Pitt. I think we're going to talk about them in the backyard brawl next week's game. But I think with Clemson, Shipley had 11 touchdowns in 9 games. They get it together in the ACC, and Clemson comes back to power.
Okay, we're 3 for 3 on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Whew.
Oof.
I don't know. We'll have to cross our fingers on some of those.
Well, I mean, we're
picks.
picking the favorites here, Joe. I mean, it's not too hard to pick, and I think that it's hard not to, seeing how powerful it's been. Pretty much accurate throughout the years, except for Clemson fall from last year.
Well, this is where we might end up with some disagreement. Who will win the Big 12?
Well, in the North, the big. Oh, we're definitely gonna have a disagreement here.
You already know.
I'm gonna say the Longhorns come back and they get it together. They have B.J. Robinson coming back at running back. They have Xavier Worthy. He's probably the fastest player in college football as wide receiver. He was great. He was burning up everybody in the Big 12 last year. And then Quinn Ewer comes over. He was out of the class of 2021, and he was the highest rated quarterback prospect since Vince Young. So he didn't play last year. Steve Sarkisian, who is the quarterback guru, supposed to get these guys ready to play, and he made him the starter over Hudson Carr, who got replaced last year by Thompson. So I think he's a good pick, and I think that this is going to be good to see the Red River rivalry mean something this year. And I think Texas finally gets over the hump. I like the coach. I think give him his second year. I think he's going to have them together. But I think Oklahoma lost too many people. I'm going with Texas.
Well, yours will be the question. Obviously, he was the NIL guy. He was the one who made the $1 million by the time he was a junior in high school, and that was Ohio State transfer.
Right.
Yeah, so, of course, I'm going to pick Oklahoma because Dylan Gabriel from Central Florida. Come on, man.
Oh yeah, he was highly recruited, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's you got to put somebody in there.
But we got to watch out for Baylor also.
Right, Baylor, and then OSU is always good. So
and Oklahoma State, absolutely. What do you feel in the Pac-12?
Well, the Pac-12, it's going to be the Pac-10 next year, maybe, because two teams are leaving.
Yeah.
But I think they'll get some. San Diego State will be coming in. In the North, I like Oregon. I looked at they have a pretty soft schedule, except for their first game. They have, I think, do they have Georgia the first game? I think they start.
Yeah, well, they got a really tough start.
Yeah, the tough start against Georgia. Yeah. And then after that, they have a pretty weak schedule. They don't play Utah until November 19th. So I think that they are going to pretty much have a good run at it. I think they'll be 9-3, so they'll win the North. And in the South, I'm going to go with Utah. Of course, you will be too.
Of course,
because you like the favorites, Joe. But anyway, just if you watched that Rose Bowl last year, they played with their hearts out against Ohio State. It was a tough loss for them. But Cameron Rising had two touchdowns in that game, and he had 20 touchdowns for the year. I think if they get that year experience back, and I'm going to say Utah edges out USC closely, and I think that USC will probably get the Rose Bowl bid, and I think that Utah will probably maybe even have a chance to get in there, but I guess Utah would get the Rose Bowl bid.
Yeah,
to get in there
unless they make the college football
playoffs. And if they run the table, they're going to have to run the table to get to be even put in the picture. So
that's right. Pac-12, one loss is going to be one too many.
Right.
No, somebody will have to go undefeated. And what about the AAC? Did you look at that one?
No, I didn't, Joe. We're just at the top five here.
Okay.
We can go to the AAC if you want to do them next year.
I'm going to pick Houston. It's a small upset in that one. Our local conference, the Mountain West, I'm going to pick Boise State. Obviously,
I'll take San Diego State for sure. I'll take San Diego State like every year.
And I didn't have any thoughts on the Sun Belt or Conference USA yet. A little early for that. But there are 7 games this Saturday. Do you have any point spread predictions?
Well, I'll take your Nevada team, Joe. They're playing -9 against New Mexico State. I like them. They got Tuatoa, who was the running back last year. He's returning this year, so he'll have that senior leadership for the team. They also have some of their offensive line intact. So I think that they will be okay. Losing Carson Strong was huge, but I think he'll be all right. And then, so I'm going to say the other one, I'm going to have another pick. I'm going to say Charlotte, -7 at Florida A&M. Florida has 8 returners. Florida
Florida Atlantic.
And Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
They have 8 starters returning from their offensive team. So I say take the home dog on that one, -7.
All right. I'm going to take Hawaii plus the 7.5 at home against Vanderbilt. Probably just throwing it out there, but I just historically, Vanderbilt being favored by 7.5 on the road against anybody is not an issue. You just take the home team. And I don't even know how good Hawaii is, and they're probably not very good. That's why
the Rainbow Warriors are always good at home, and maybe they can Vanderbilt to give them a good luau. They get them fed with some nice. Pork or something too much, it might slow them down a little bit. But 7.5 points being a home dog, I like it too, Joe.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we should say which 4 teams will make it to the college football playoff. Well, let me guess. Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and somebody else. How did I do?
Well, you did the same one. I mean, it's got to be those 4. I mean, we can't go any further than that. I mean,
who did you pick as your 4th team? Did you?
Well, I like Alabama, Georgia, and I like
Georgia, of course.
So I'll take Georgia in that last one. I mean, I think Texas A&M could sneak in there if they take a loss. If Texas A&M has one loss to Alabama, and then they lose. They would have a chance if Alabama beat them in the Southeast Conference Finals.
Well, I'm hoping the winner of the Big 12 gets in there. I do like that conference, but they will probably have to have no more than one loss, obviously.
Well, Joe, we'll make a side wager on that. I think I'll say the Pac-12 has a better record. They're number 1 team than your Big 12. So,
better than Big 12.
I do.
Okay.
I do think
all right.
so.
If it's Utah, I'll give you a shot on that.
Okay, good.
All right. If it's not Utah, I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, we'll take it for our Utah. Right. We'll take a shot at Jameson. That's what I'll take.
All right. And finally, who's going to win the national championship?
It's got to. I'm sticking. I had Alabama last year, and I think they're coming back again this year. I mean, there's no way you can get around that. How great they are. You know, they got a chip on their shoulders. They got Will Anderson, who I think had a very great chance and probably should have won the Heisman last year as a defensive player.
Right.
Stud linebacker. He had more solo tackles than anybody close, even Aiden Hutchinson. And I think Alabama will return. They're going to be chip on their shoulder, and Bryce Young wins his 2nd Heisman Trophy winner.
Oh, God. Terrible. So I'm going to pick Ohio State because I have this hatred for Alabama in the Southeastern Conference. I'm tired of them winning all the time. I'm going to pick something different, and C.J. Stroud wins the Heisman Trophy.
Okay, well, you're saying Georgia can't do it back-to-back?
I think too many losses on defense. And
they did lose 5 starters in the first round. 5 starters on their defense in the first round of the NFL draft, so they definitely were stacked. All right, Joe, I'll give you another sink or swim.
So hard to win it back-to-back.
So back-to-back, we'll get to back-to-back. I'll give you a sink or swim.
All right.
In the last 26 years, Alabama is the only team to go back-to-back.
I don't remember Alabama going back-to-back.
2011 and 12.
Oh, they did? Oh, well, see, I try to block those things out of my mind.
Well, you can't block because the tide will roll right over you, Joe, if you keep blocking them out, I'm telling you.
I try to avoid the tide as much as possible.
Okay.
Yes. So has it happened even since then?
Yes, it has. It's also so you're sunk
Clemson.
On that. No, it's not Clemson. It's USC Trojans, another team you hate so much. Back-to-back, I think it was 2003 and 2004 with...
yes, the one vacated because of all the illegal activity.
All the illegal activity.
You're counting that.
I'm counting that because it's, we live in Nevada and everything's legal.
Yeah, well, pretty much. I'll give you that. And I wasn't going to remember USC winning it, that's for sure.
I know. Yeah. I just had to stick that to you, Joe.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you.
The 2 teams that you hate the most.
Yeah, well, they'll come up over and over as
you should have known that with the answer, being the answer, Joe, but I did stick you once today, so that's good. All right, let's move on to NFL. What do you think? Are we done with college?
Okay, yeah. There's obviously, I was just going to mention, there's a ton of sheets to bet on college football. If you go over to the sports book and go check those out.
Yeah, we'll go over the Heisman next week, see if we can get a preseason bet on that.
Okay. Any thoughts on last week's news in the NFL?
Well, Tom Brady returned.
Yes, he did.
From his absence, and not to be done with Antonio Brown tweeting out to him, saying that Tom Brady gets 14, so homie, get his mind straight. Now you see the difference. Put that on. I don't know what that means. Still no justice for real. So, somebody should tell that guy, Joe, I know you're a college graduate, and, maybe you can ask to be Antonio's, you can proofread his tweets.
I can before be his translator.
Translator before he puts it out. But he said he actually put 2 in the right sentence. He had TOO, also 2, so I was really very impressed with that part of his grammar. But, it's unbelievable. This guy, Antonio Brown, if it wasn't for football, what would he be doing in life? He totally flushed it down the toilet. You imagine if, he'd have to work at Target, the way he's talking. He's working at Target. Imagine if you didn't get him his 15-minute break, he'd take his shirt off and run down the middle of the aisles and say, "I didn't get my 15-minute break, homie." So good thing that he chose football. Too bad he flushed it down the toilet.
Yeah, well, he needs a job where he doesn't have to say anything. We're going to work on that.
All right.
Okay, and Carolina picked their starter.
Yeah, of course we knew that they were going to go with Baker Mayfield. I don't think it wasn't even a big surprise there.
No.
Baker Mayfield for sure. That wasn't a surprise, but also we had a couple of injuries. Chase Young showed up on the pub again, so he'll be out the first 4 weeks. We have some inside information from our producer that he's going to be out at least 8 weeks. We don't know for sure on that.
Over the course of the season.
Over the course of the season, he's the first pick of the draft, 2 years ago. So,
and Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah,
he'll be out 3 for the New York Giants.
Yeah, it was a very controversial hit he took. They talked about it after the season, and he took a little low shot, and some of the Giants a little bit upset about that. But
illegal hit, though.
Yeah, it was a legal hit, but they want us to keep people. You don't want to block below the waist if you can help it. Especially when you have that much money wrapped up and people's careers are on the line.
I wasn't thrilled about the Giants. I guess I was a little thrilled about the Giants picking Thibodeau with their first pick because he was injury prone in college.
Right,
and that's not the kind of guy you want to be drafting that early in the draft. But they went for it, and I think they're going to pay for that one too.
He's out for a couple of weeks. He'll be back in.
He'll be back, and he'll get hurt again. He'll be like Chase Young.
Okay,
that's my prediction.
All right. So let's move on.
Point spread wise, my picks went 3-1, meaning over the last 2 weeks. My pick's a solid 7-2 in preseason.
Wow, Joe, you're the preseason answer, man. I tell you right now, man. I don't know how you can pick it because I don't even know who's starting half these games. I know Vegas is pretty good when because they haven't had the Rams, the defending champion, in the first 3 weeks of preseason. They've been the underdogs every game, so they must know something because they know who's starting and who's not. I mean, it's just hard when you look at, you got Zappy playing for your team, and then you're going against some
New England.
Yeah, exactly. Zappy for New England that never played a meaningful game in the NFL or at a college football level. You played it for Western Kentucky.
He did throw for 6,000 yards though. In one season.
Yeah,
which is
a little bit different when you're playing. The Hilltoppers against LSU or Alabama type of cornerbacks. So
I don't think you can ignore those things though when you're making your preseason football predictions.
Okay, well, I mean,
do you have any predictions for Week 3?
I do.
After all that,
I did hit a couple last week.
Right,
we did hit the Jordan Love. We told you to take Jordan Love, and then we told you, stay away from the teams that you don't know who the quarterbacks are, but. The Broncos, who I did say last week would win, or at least cover the 7-point spread. Josh Allen just went on there shredded. I mean, Bills look so impressive. They look like they should be the Super Bowl favorites to win this year, and they sure played like it last week. But I like the Broncos at home against Minnesota. It's a pick'em game. I think this is the first time we see Russell Wilson, my boy Ronnie's guy from Seattle. I think he's going to come out and have a good game.
Russell Wilson's going to play.
Yeah, he's going to play. He hasn't played at all. I hope he does. Sooner or later he's got to play. Anyway, okay. I think he'll play a few series, and they're at home, and that's always those guys out there, the Orange Crush crowd will be out there in the South Stands yelling. I think it'll be good. Minnesota didn't play well last week. I like Marcus Mariota's been playing really well, and so even his backup Desmond Ritter.
Yeah,
he's looked really well. Yeah, and he from Cincinnati, he looked really good, and I think he's going to get a lot of the playing time. So I'll take him -4. I'm going to drop them against the Jaguars. The Titans, I'm going to take them -3 at Arizona, and then we have to take your Baltimore team, right? They're going to do another perfect season in preseason. I think you'll take that too with me, right? I think
absolutely.
They were dropping 6.5.
Yeah.
And
that's on my list.
But I also like Pitt because you look at I look at Pittsburgh and all 3 of their quarterbacks last week. Kenny Pickett looked great. He was 6 for 7, 76 yards, and they have not announced their starting QB for Week 1 yet. Just to let you know, Mitch Trubisky had a solid game. He was 5 for 8 with 60 yards. But Kyle Rudolph was 17 for 21 with 127 yards and a touchdown. So he's like the third guy out, and he probably played the best out of all 3 of them.
That's Mason Rudolph.
Rudolph, yeah.
The tight end.
Tight end, yeah.
That'd be a scoop if he came out and looked good.
Yeah, Mason Rudolph, wrong Rudolph, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. No, I'm totally in agreement with you. Friday, I'll just start with that. I like Buffalo +6 at Carolina. These are opening line spreads. I didn't actually look to see if there's been any movement.
They were 6.5 this morning.
Okay. Well, Josh Allen only had 1 drive last week, and they scored 42 points last week. So getting 6 at Carolina, I like that. I always pick New England, 2 for 2 so far. I know they're at Vegas. That could be a little difficult there, but I'm going to take New England. Saturday, I'm taking the Pick'em. It was Pick'em at home against Jacksonville. I don't know.
That's it. We went to -4. Yeah.
-4. Well, I guess I'll lay the 4 now. Jacksonville's second and third stringers really bad. They start off okay in these preseason games and then finish poorly. Cincinnati -2.5 at home against the Rams. We talked about.
You're still upset about the Super Bowl, Joe.
Exactly.
You're still upset about the Super Bowl.
Well, this is a small amount of revenge, but it is revenge.
Okay.
And I do see Cincinnati winning that one. Baltimore, of course, -6 at home against Washington. 22 straight preseason games. Baltimore's won 19-2-1 against the spread in those games. Remarkable.
I think like Buffalo has like 10 straight wins too. If you look at somebody like I think they have 10. They're coming up behind them. So
yeah, and Cleveland does really well in preseason. And finally, Sunday, I am trying Pittsburgh -4.5 because of that quarterback battle.
Yeah, you're going to see some good quarterback play, and I know Detroit's been great on Hard Knocks. I don't know if you've been watching them, but they've had some great series. Just makes you want to root from that coach's awesome. Campbell's awesome.
I love the coach.
Yeah, and Jamal Williams had a speech like man, I almost started crying. He was like putting his heart into it. Like that record ain't us, and we need to play better. And you work harder. I'm like, man, that's just what every coach wants to put in their kids to say stuff like that. And you look at Jamal Williams, the backup running back. I think it just makes you want to root for him. Makes you want to root for Detroit.
Sure. I feel sorry for Detroit fans. It's been I was going to say it's been a long time, but they've never even been to the Super Bowl, let alone won it. So.
Right. I think it was the 50s back
championships.
Championships, yeah. But that was last time. I don't think they had face masks, Joe, back in that time. But
probably not.
Okay.
Excellent segment, Big Richard.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you. See you in the You Got Host segment.
All right, thanks.
Now, here to talk about baseball is expert Rockin' Ronnie McKinnon. How's it going?
Joe, I'm doing really well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be able to do another show with you.
Yeah, that was fun last week, huh?
Yes, it was. What were the big stories in the big leagues last week, since our last show?
Well, we have to talk again about Albert Pujols, right?
Absolutely.
It's all the time, the designated hitter. He's also a first baseman and right-handed for the Cardinals, back where he started. He went 4 for 4 on Saturday. He had 2 singles, 2 home runs, and they came off a guy I've never liked, which, Bumgarner, who for Arizona, used to pitch for the Giants. He scored 2 runs, 2 RBIs. His 13th home run this year, and at that point, he had 692. All right. A-Rod is next up at 696, and then Ruth, Aaron, and Bonds over 700. He also passed Stan Musial for an AL-NL record for second place all-time in total bases. Henry Aaron is first. Total bases is a combination of a single is 1, a doubles 2, triple 3, home run 4, and then that's how they add it all up. Then we go to Monday. And Pujols, he played first base in that game. He's amazing. They won the game 4-2. But anyway, he hit number 693 against the Cubs at Wrigley Field in a 1-0 win. That's the only run that was scored. At that point, the Cardinals had won 8 straight. He also tied Barry Bonds for the first all-time by homers off the 449th different pitcher that he's hit home runs off. It's you can do that, I guess, when you play a long time, right?
And play in both leagues
and last a long time. And yeah, exactly. He played for the Angels in the American League. So anyway, in that game, what was overlooked because of Pujols was Jordan Montgomery, a left-handed pitcher. He pitched a complete game. No runs, 1 hit, no walks, 7 strikeouts, and 99 pitches. And I've talked about this before. 99 pitches and to go and go a complete game, came from Greg Maddux. They call it the Maddux, and Maddux is a Hall of Famer. Now that's a shutout on fewer than 100 pitches, and you think about that. That's like 9 innings, that's like 11, average of 11 pitches an inning.
I think 9 times 11.
Right. And well, what I'm saying is that, when you look at a game in a pitcher, I always look at, as the game goes on, trying to not be more than 15 pitches per inning. Well, that's 90 after 6 innings, okay? You need 5 innings to actually get a decision in a game. So it's pretty amazing that that this Jordan Montgomery did that. Maddox did it 13 times, pitched for the Cubs and the Braves. And what's interesting is Montgomery's pitching coach is Greg Maddox's brother, Mike Maddox, who also played in the major leagues.
Indeed it is. What are the odds of that?
Right.
Exactly. But Greg isn't a pitching coach anywhere, but Mike is. So.
Exactly, yeah. And Mike was a pitcher too, and a pretty good one. Not Greg Maddox, but
No.
Obviously some of these guys become great coaches, and even if they weren't great pitchers, quote unquote, basically.
Yeah, managers too, and it just seems to work
Totally,
like that.
yeah, totally. Managers, coaches, yeah, exactly.
So what is our weekly Aaron Judge update?
Well, on Monday, he hit his 47th home run, and it came off Max Scherzer, a great pitcher, for the New York Mets. They did win the game 4-2 over the Mets, and the last night, I'll have to say too that in the second game of that series, which the Yankees won that one too, and they've been struggling a little. Aaron Judge hit his 448th home run,
Right.
and that was in a 4-2 win also in the 2-game sweep at Yankee Stadium. He's batting .297 with 105 RBIs and now at 48 home runs.
14 more, and that's 62.
That's right, and very possible. We talked about this before. I think he's going to do it, just like I think Albert's going to get to 700 home runs. I think also, and which would be awesome.
He insists he is going to retire, regardless if he ends up at 699 or not.
We'll see. We'll see. I want him to play many more years and be the all-time home run leader.
The legitimate.
Well, yeah. To me, it's Henry Aaron, but no. Barry Bonds has the most home runs all time, and
Henry Aaron and Roger Maris right now are the legitimate. Roger Maris was 61 home runs
for the year. Yeah, exactly.
Right,
and that's American League because McGuire and Bonds and Sosa all beat 61 in the National League.
Yes,
but,
all associated with performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah, PEDs. That's correct.
That's the problem.
That's correct.
Right. And do you have any Los Angeles Dodgers news? You being the Dodger fan that you are.
Well, yeah, I want to talk about Dustin May because not a lot of people might know about him, but has been away for 476 days since last year with Tommy John surgery. That was in May of last year. He actually came back and pitched 5 scoreless innings in a 7-0 victory over the Miami Marlins. He struck out 9 while giving up 1 hit and 1 walk, which all came in the first inning. He ended up the Dodgers and Dave Roberts, the manager, trying to keep him now just coming back under 75 pitches. He did only pitch 71 pitches, and it was a great outing and coming back from Tommy John surgery. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, and Walker Buehler.
Yeah, Walker Buehler. Okay, the Dodgers lost him to repair a flexor tendon. Well, now he's going to have to go under Tommy John surgery. He's already had it once in 2015 before he came on the Dodgers, and so this will be his second one. And so now he could be out anywhere from 12 to 18 months. They say the second one sometimes takes longer. Every player is different. And they have a great staff over there, and we'll see what happens, with the trainers and all that stuff too. He's been on the All-Stars 2 years in a row, and before this year, he has a career 2.90 ERA. So he's been a really great pitcher for them, but now we won't see him probably, maybe even all of next year. So.
Right. Any other recent injury news we should be keeping track of?
Byron Buxton, great player, been around a long time, plays for the Twins. He's a center fielder. He's on a 10-day injured list now for a low-grade right hip strain. They thought it was going to be worse. And Minnesota's trying to, battle with Cleveland and Chicago for that Central in the American League. So he's an important part of that. And right now he's on a 10-day IL. We'll see what happens.
Our weekly Justin Verlander news.
Amazing, right? The guy is amazing. He missed all of last year with Tommy John surgery. He's the Houston Astros right-hand starting pitcher. Yesterday, he had a no-hitter through 6 innings and left the game. And he actually was good with it. He wanted to. Dusty Baker, the manager, they're like, hey, we want him to be ready for the playoffs. And obviously, they're going to the playoffs. But it was a 4-2 win over the Twins. No runs, no hits, no walks, 10 strikeouts. He threw 91 pitches, and it was he's actually has 3 no-hitters lifetime too. But he wasn't concerned about going for number 4, and I think that's the right thing to do.
So it wasn't a perfect game he had going though.
No, it wasn't a perfect game, but
still a no-hitter.
Pretty darn close, yeah. Actually, that was a game where a guy gets on. I talked about this last week, where a guy gets on base when the catcher misses the third strike. And if you make it to first, you're on. Even though it's considered a strikeout, it's not an out, and there's a guy on first base. Okay. Anyway, he's got a 16-3 record and a 1.87 ERA.
All right. And Robbie Ray?
Robbie Ray, well, Seattle. He's on Seattle, and left-handed starting pitcher. Seattle trying to get back to the playoffs, and been over 21 years, the longest
streak of any North American team. That's not just baseball.
That's exactly right. And he had a no-hitter going into the 7th inning. He pitched 6 2/3, gave up 2 hits, 1 run. It was a home run, a couple walks, 7 strikeouts in a 4-2 win over the Nationals.
Should we talk about Maybelle Blair?
I think we should.
I don't know.
No, we're gonna.
To a degree, we should.
We're gonna. Our producer wants us to, and I want us to, and we win. Anyway, Maybelle Blair, 95 years old. She's an inspiration for the A-League of their own. She's a former professional player in the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. She's also one of the inspirations for the TV movie League of Their Own, which I think we've all seen more than once and loved. And I just thought she was in the Dodger broadcasting booth on over the weekend, and they were talking to her, and I think it's worth mentioning. I mean, come on, man.
Well, 95 years old, we better hurry up.
There we go.
Okay. So let's take a look at the standings and which teams are hot or cold, and injuries to maybe these contending teams. As always, let's start in the American League East.
Yeah, well, I brought up the Bucks and injury, and who with Minnesota, who's battling that Central Division. Anyway, the Yankees still in first. They've had some rough goings, but they're still in first. But Tampa Bay and Toronto, Baltimore and Boston, everybody in that division is still within 7 games of a wild card. Boston has fallen a little. Tampa Bay has the lead in the wild card there, and then Toronto. If we go to the Central, obviously those teams win the division, and hopefully you got a shot at a wild card. But now Cleveland leads that division by 3 and 4 games over Minnesota and Chicago White Sox, respectively. They are also 4 and 5 games out, respectively, Minnesota, Chicago, from a wild card. Still plenty of time, though. 35 to 40 games to go for each club. We go to the West, and Houston pretty much running away with that. They are 1 game from the 80 mark, and so is the Mets over in the NL East. Seattle, 11.5 back, but they're right there in the wild card hunt. They're 11 games over 500. We're going to skip over to the NL.
Yep, we can move on to the National League.
Right, and the Mets, 79 and 46. They have a 2-game lead now over Atlanta. Atlanta trying to win that division, and also are ahead +9 for the first wild card spot, 9 games ahead. Philadelphia, they're 10 out of that division, but they're a +1 on the wild card, so those are the top 2 wild card teams, Atlanta and Philadelphia. The other one will be San Diego over in the West, but still a ways to go. We go to the Central, St. Louis, kind of building on that lead now over Milwaukee, 5.5 games. Milwaukee's a game and a half behind a wild card. They're only 8 games above 500, but that there's still a ways to go there. St. Louis, along with Albert Pujols, has been on a streak. We go to the West. The Dodgers, 85-37, pretty amazing. That's 48 games above 500. They also lead all of baseball in runs scored, runs allowed. And the home record and away record, they're just, but still a ways to go. So, I don't count on anything. But, yeah, they've pretty much got that division. It goes 18.5 back, Giants 24. And the Giants still only a half. They lost earlier today already, though. So now 6 behind a wild card spot.
No, well, they got to at least be 500 for that. We keep mentioning that, and it doesn't really look good for the Giants at the moment.
Well, yeah, and again, what's that? 122 games, so there's 40 to go for them. Exactly.
Nice little 10-game winning streak, and they're right back in.
That's kind of why lately I've kept I talk about 18 teams that still have a shot. I'm talking within 10 games of a division, or within even 10 games of a wild card, and and so that's where we're at.
Right. Well, your predictions went 3-1 last week.
Yeah, 3-1. That was good.
Yeah.
I will be putting some on the site sometime in the next 2 or 3 days. I'm not sure exactly, but I will do that.
Okay. So look on the website for picks on the upcoming week's slate of games. And lastly, do you have a report on the Little League World Series?
Well, I'm not as in-depth as I wanted to do, but, the Little League World Series goes through Sunday in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. A lot of games on ESPN. It's double elimination. We still have United States teams, Tennessee, Massachusetts, Hawaii, Washington State, and Indiana, and then Asia Pacific, Mexico, Latin America, and the Caribbean. In the international teams, that's about all I have on it right now. Again, there's some games going on today, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday's the finals, and I'm hoping to actually, get a little something on the site about that too. And pick anybody myself, but I just wanted to kind of update and people take a watch if they get a chance.
Well, go U.S., I would say.
Go U.S., yeah. I'm kind of going for Washington State. I'm a fan of Washington State. So out of the teams there, Tennessee, Massachusetts, Hawaii, which, I've been there, and that's cool too, and Indiana. But I'm going for Washington State. We'll see what happens.
And, of course, the U.S. is guaranteed a team in the final championship match.
Correct. And an international team.
Whoever makes it.
Exactly, okay. Yeah. And you got to watch those Latin American and Caribbean teams, and not to, obviously Asia Pacific, and sure. And even Mexico too. You got to, they get some good teams coming from those areas, no doubt.
Well, great work, Ronnie. But before I let you go there, Ronnie, we have Gator Gates here to join you.
Yay! Welcome back, Gator.
Yeah, thank you.
Gator is here to talk about a variety of sports. The long-lost Gator Gates. We've refound you.
Right.
How have you been, first of all?
Been doing great. I was out. I had to have cataract surgery on my eyes, so that's why I was out. But I just want to thank you guys for all your nice comments. Our listeners gave me a bunch of comments, and the CTF family gave me a bunch of great comments. So I'm very heartfelt.
Well, we're super glad to have you back. We have you both here to talk about the 153rd Travers Stakes horse race, which is Saturday at Saratoga Racecourse in Saratoga Springs, New York. So tell us about it.
Saratoga is one of the harder tracks in my eyes to handicap. You get a lot of upsets there. But when I'm looking at this Travelers, there's only 2 really good horses that I like personally, and that'd be Epic Center and Cyberknife. And I like to do these exactas. I like to do pick one horse that I'm going to single out and then put it with 2 other horses behind it. So when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at Epic Center and Cyberknife. So which horse am I going to single? Well, Cyberknife has won 4 out of the last 5, and the only loss that he had came from the Kentucky Derby, which Rich Strike is in this field as well, who won that. So I'm going to single Cyberknife. Right now he's at a 7-2 morning line odds. Then I'm going to do it with 2 other horses. Of course, I'm going to put Epic Center as my second horse. And then my third horse, I did like Charge It, but Charge It is not in the field. I'm not exactly sure. I think it was an abscess foot that is reason he's out. So my next one after that would be Zandon. So if you're doing post positions, it'd be an exacta box 1 with 6-8.
All right, that's Travers is a grade 1 race. It's just for 3-year-olds, if I'm not mistaken. It's a mile and a quarter and $1.25 million purse.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Pretty big race.
Another thing about Cyberknife is Cyberknife did win the Haskell, and that does put him into the Breeders' Cup Classic that's coming up at the end of October, beginning of November.
Yeah, but the horse probably doesn't actually know that, so it's probably going to still be trying its hardest.
Oh, exactly.
It's not going to be holding back anything.
Well, that's exactly why I kind of singled him. When you single him like I do, the first position horse that I put in could come in first or second.
Yeah, those are the Breeders' Cups that I love to do, and I'll be doing a lot more of that. September, October races, and be doing that. I didn't look at the racing form, which I won't make a pick without doing that. I'm hoping to do that and still put a bet on before Saturday's race. We've pretty much seen all these horses too,
pretty much
in the Triple Crown races and such, and other races, and I'm kind of firsthand. I'm looking at this Artorias with Irad Ortiz on there, and I think Chad Brown, the trainer, actually has 3 horses in this race. Correct?
That's correct. Yes.
But that's not. I'm not saying that's who I'm picking. I'm just saying that's there's a thought. But the horses you mentioned, hey, we've bet on them. Some of them have come in for us over the last many months, and so we'll see what happens. Again, I hope to put a pick on there before the race Saturday afternoon in New York.
Well, and Chad Brown does have another horse called Early Voting. That horse
we've
could,
seen him too.
Yeah. And if I was going to play like the superfectas or trifectas, I might throw that horse in there for those exotics.
Yeah, I'll take a strong look. I'm big on like speed ratings and such, and also on distances. And this is a mile and a quarter. That's long.
Yes.
Okay. And so I always like to take a look at those horses and what they did, before in a little shorter race. Were they starting to come on, or were they failing, and another added distance might not do them any good. So those are the things I'll be taking a look at and try to put a pick on there.
Yes, same distance as the Kentucky Derby.
Correct.
So
Correct.
we do have some history there.
Right, and some of the horses too. This
Yes.
horse I was talking about, Artorias, haven't
has not gone that far.
Haven't seen him run. Haven't seen him. No, I don't know what he's done in his past performances. I haven't looked yet, but I've never seen the horse run or bet on it. I'm just odds right now are 9-2 on that horse, but we'll see, and hopefully I'm going to get some.
We'll get some picks out on the
and
website.
Probably a exacta like Gator. I was doing some trifectas too, but I like the exacta box.
Now, Rich Strike, our Kentucky Derby winner, Sonny Leone's going to be on him, and he's right now at 10-1. A morning line.
Same jockey though. That's been on Rich Strike. So
yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, we'll see what the odds are when the race starts. Of course, the odds will change as we go along. And
That's right.
You get what you get when the race starts.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks again, Ronnie.
Joe, thanks for having me. Gator, great to have you back, and enjoy doing the horse racing segment with you.
Yeah, same here, Ronnie.
We'll do
It's
some
great.
more, and we'll do some more.
Heck yeah.
And we should also mention Lady Gator is putting an article out for the website. That'll be up tonight. The race being Saturday. And now, here we are, Gator. Just you and me now.
Alrighty.
This is it.
Let's do it.
All right. What happened in NASCAR last Sunday at Watkins Glen?
Okay, well, Joe, before I start there, numbers don't lie, but they deceive. Well, and I use ERA in baseball all the times, but Erica, one of our listeners, pointed out that there's the WHIP stats now too, which I do think is a little bit better than the ERA. But Kyle Larson won his second race of the season at 4-1, and he was 7-1 when the odds came out. Now, because of the weather, the race started on rain tires and a single file start. Now, on paper, you guys, the race was fought out by the Fords leading 48 laps and the Chevys leading 42 laps. Toyota didn't lead any lap, and their best finish was 8th with Christopher Bell. Now, Chase Elliott was the pole setter and led the most laps with 29. He put his Chevy in 4th place, but did win the regular season championship, only needing 4 points to heading into Watkins Glen. Now, the Chevys dominated with 4 in the top 5, and Joey Logano was the top Ford in 3rd. He did lead 15 laps. But you guys, in reality, the race was between Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson. They were the best cars, but with 5 laps to go on a restart, Kyle raced Elliott off the track, and that is what caused him to fall back and finish 4th. Now, both cars had the best pit strategies. They got done with their last pit stop. All the other cars had one more to go, and they didn't have to. So that the whole race, they were the leaders, even though the Fords were the ones that were getting the laps at that time, Joe.
Yeah, well, they happen to be teammates too. So should Kyle Larson actually be running Chase Elliott off the road, such as he is?
It wasn't. It was pretty. I watched that, Joe, and it was racing. Rubbin's racing, going around those turns at Watkins Glen's racing. So I didn't see anything that would
get Elliott too upset.
Yeah, and then
I'm sure he is. Anyway. But
so can't be too upset. He won the season championship. Can't be too upset.
Right. The big championship is at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Right. So this Saturday is the Daytona night race, which is pretty exciting. What should we expect?
Exactly, Joe. We have 15 drivers in the playoffs right now, with 1 race and 1 spot left, heading into Saturday night. Like you said, Saturday night at 4 o'clock in Daytona. Right now, if we don't end up with a new winner, Ryan Blaney would be in. Martin Truex is 25 points behind him, and I don't see Truex really catching him unless he does win. Playoffs will start September 4th at Arlington Speedway. If I have to pick a winner, Joe, your guess is as good as mine.
Yes. Yeah, picking a winner on super speedways is almost impossible. But I do give Truex one other chance besides winning the race of getting in, and that's if Ryan Blaney wrecks. And we are on a super speedway, there are going to be some big wrecks.
Very, very true. And again, if I have to pick a driver, I guess I'm going to go with Kyle Busch. He's the only one that I can really see getting out of those wrecks, driving out of them. He's amazing at that.
Yeah. Well, his brother is going to be out, I guess, for the second consecutive week.
Yeah, he had a concussion protocol, and he didn't race last week. He's not going to be there this week, which is good. He's already got 1 win, so he doesn't really need it.
He's already qualified for
so he's fine.
For the playoff. All right, good. So what should we be looking forward to in Formula One? Gosh, I know you were gone for a while, but we haven't even had a race since the last time you were here.
Yeah, exactly. Belgium, they're going to be at the Belgium Grand Prix. There's 9 races left. Now, last year at this Belgium Grand Prix, Joe, they only had a 2-lap race, and it really wasn't a race. It was under yellow. So basically how they qualified is how they finished this race. Verstappen was the winner, but the biggest thing that sticks out in me here, Joe, is that the Ferrari had 8th.
Okay.
So I guess you're going to have to go with Verstappen again.
Yeah, well, he seems to be a pretty safe bet. He's winning like half the races. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Hamilton is now a part owner of the Denver Broncos.
Yes.
So I'm
Condoleezza Rice. We got a few different people.
So welcome to Bronco Nation.
You got some winners.
Yes, they do. I agree. Yeah. You go your way, I'll go our way.
Yeah. Oh gosh. We'll move on from that. So we usually don't talk about UFC fighting, but apparently something really caught your eye from last weekend.
Oh, brother, Joe, the UFC 278 was in Utah Saturday night, and in the welterweight title, we had a stunning upset. The main event was between number 4 ranked Leon Edwards at a plus 320 and number 1 ranked Kamaru Usman that was favored at a minus 400. Now, this was a rematch back in December 2015, and Usman won by an unanimous decision. But Usman, who had a winning streak of 15 wins going into this bout, was leading going into the last round, 39-37 on all 3 cards, Joe. And Usman was 1 minute away from receiving his 6th title defense when Edwards threw a left punch. Camaro leaned to his right to miss the punch, and then Leon connected with a left head kick that knocked Usman out. Now, the 18,000 in attendance went crazy. They were cheering for Camaro at the beginning. Now they were yelling Rocky, which is Leon's nickname. Now, Camaro was transported to the hospital and afterwards tweeted that he will bounce back and come with vengeance. Joe, this result sent shockwaves through the MMA world.
Just because of the upset.
Big time.
Big upset, yeah. Well, I have noticed that UFC does have some pretty decent upsets once in a while, whereas boxing, the favorites almost always hit.
Yeah.
Like 95% of the time. So, if you want a sure thing, as close to a sure thing as you can get, if there is such a thing, parlay a bunch of minuses in boxing and take your shots in UFC.
Correct.
All right.
Good advice, Joe.
And PGA Tour, we've reached the FedEx Cup Championship this weekend. What are the stories?
Okay, well, last week Patrick Cantlay won the BMW Championship for his 2nd straight win at this tournament. He beat Scott Stallings by 1 stroke and had a 3-stroke lead over Alexander Schauffele and Scotty Scheffler. Now, this only one event left for the season, and this weekend 29 players, and there were supposed to be 30 players, will be fighting it out for the FedEx Cup at this Tour Championship in Atlanta. Now, Scotty Scheffler will start 10 under par. Patrick Cantlay will start 8 under par. Now, Will Zalatoris was supposed to be there and start 7 under par, but he has back issues, so he's not going to be there. And Alexander Schauffele, 6 under. And to round out the top 5, Joe, Sam Burns will be a 5 under par. Now, the next 5 players will start 4 under par, and they do include Cameron Smith and Rory McIlroy. I was rooting for Cantlay, but I do think Scheffler was going to win it at the end.
You got Scotty Scheffler or Xander Schauffele?
Yeah, Scheffler. Yeah,
Scheffler,
exactly.
Scotty Scheffler. Yeah, it's easy to mix the two up.
You're exactly right.
Yeah. So I'm going to pick Cantlay. Although it does sound like a personal problem, he is going to play well, and the history of winning it last year, and I expect him to do it again. And September 15th starts the next season, so it's not much of a turnaround till we
right.
Start
That's in Napa Valley, Joe. And last year Max Homa won it, and he is in this field, and he's at 80-1.
Oh well, okay, but for now we got this championship. That's a whole lot of money being doled out for that. U.S. Open, tennis's final major of the year begins Monday. You have any picks?
Well, as far as picking, Joe, I like Simona Halep. She's at 7-1 right now. Iga
Swiatek,
she's the favorite at plus 275. But Joe, I was watching that match between Madison Keys and Petra
Kvitova.
That
was a good match.
Yes. Oh, it was excellent. And what's shocking to me here, Joe, is that both of them are at 35-1. Yeah. So I kind of rooting for Petra.
Mm-hmm. Anything on the men's side?
Okay, well, of course, we have our 3, Djokovic plus 150, Medvedev at a plus 225, and that's who I'm rooting for, and Nadal's at 5-1. But another big one I like is 14-1, Stefanos Tsitsipas.
Sure, the Greek.
Mm-hmm. So, I like Medvedev and Tsitsipas.
All right. Well, yes, the Russians are being allowed to play again. And at the U.S. Open, they weren't at Wimbledon, so Medvedev does get his chance, and he might be a little inspired. I could see that. But I have to go with Novak Djokovic. Mm-hmm. The experience, he's, he knows how to win these things. On the women's side, as you were reeling through all these names, it is wide open. Mm-hmm. That's going to be super difficult to pick, and it's going to be a surprise who wins, no matter who wins. And Serena Williams will be retiring. She won't last long in this tournament. She hasn't been playing well at all. No expectations on her. You can bet against her. match to match, and you'll probably win pretty soon.
I also have written down Naomi Osaka.
Osaka, yeah.
She's 10-1, and you're right, Joe. She could be.
She could. Swiatek, Osaka, none of them really been playing that well. But like I said, it's so wide open. Anybody could come from anywhere on the women's side.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Tough.
I know you're a huge hockey fan.
A little bit.
Yeah. Having played and lived up there. Our neighbors to the north. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How did the Junior Hockey World Championships end up? I mean, this thing started months ago, did it not?
Sure, but yeah, the Junior Hockey Championships finished this weekend. The tournament started December 26th, but was halted after 4 days due to COVID. So on Wednesday, the 17th, in Edmonton, Canada, USA, which was the defending champions, went 4-0 in group stage, Joe. Never did trail, but they did lose 4-2 to the Czech Republic in the first knockout stage. Now, U.S. was at a -3 on the point line, and usually, Joe, the books don't have a money line when it's that high. It's kind of like, college football. But USA's coach, Nate Lehman, said, and I quote, "We struggled to get into our game today. Our first 10 minutes were good, but we were struggled to manage the puck," unquote. Now, Canada won their 19th world title by beating Finland 3-2 in overtime, and Finland played great but couldn't stay out of the penalty box. Joe, Canada was 0-7 on the power play. Ridiculous number there. Sweden did beat the Czech Republic 3-1 for the bronze medal game. And Joe, I am so ready for hockey. I know everybody's ready for football, but I'm ready for hockey.
Well, it's coming soon. I already got my package all set up, my DirecTV,
right?
And I can get all the games on that, and I'll be looking forward to seeing my Boston Bruins hopefully play a little better this year.
Now I'll bring the popcorn and vodka.
Oh, sounds great. Well, thank you very much, Gator.
Thank you, Joe.
Appreciate
I'm
it.
so happy to be back. So happy to be back. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's time for our You Got Hose segment.
You Got Hose.
And we have Big Rich. Obviously, this is our segment where we talk about picks that were supposed to be winners, but they ended up being losers.
Yes.
And
Joe, you talked me into betting preseason. Not to mention I do like to gamble, so I saw that it was raining so much in the Monday night game in preseason, and the Jets are horrible anyway, and Atlanta's not the greatest. Under 38 seemed like a sure bet. So it was going great. They had no points. The Jets had no points, down 14-0, or it was 10-0, or 13-0, whatever it was. Shouldn't have happened. And all of a sudden they go and kick a field. They get a great 2-minute offense and they go and kick a field goal.
16-0.
Yeah,
2 minute, and they kicked a field goal.
Kicked a field goal.
Last play of the first half.
Yes.
16-3.
Greatest drive in New York Jets history since Joe Namath. Anyway, so I'm going into this and I'm thinking I'm still okay. 19, we're still 38. That's halfway. I'm still good. Backups are coming in, right? It's gonna play where it's raining, sloppy field, right? All of a sudden, I guess the Atlanta Falcons don't have any backup cornerbacks because the Jets go down and score 2 touchdowns. So I'm up by 5. I'm okay. Atlanta's got the ball halfway through the fourth quarter. As long as they don't score a touchdown, get a field goal, the game's over. Raining, that's starting to rain even harder. I'm thinking it's even greater. But who do they put in at quarterback? Felipe, oops, I slipped a. Balls and Franks. Felipe Franks comes in. Backup quarterback. No way he can go down and score, right, Joe? No, but what does he do? He rolls right. And as he's rolling right, he Felipe, and he falls on the ball, not on the ground, and the ball squirts out. Jets pick it up, run it for a touchdown, and I get hosed out of my under. I got hosed.
Yep, the Falcons never scored the entire second half, and the game still went over.
Yes, thanks to Frank's oops, I Felipe.
So, Gator, do you have a You Got Hosed story for this week?
Okay, Joe. Well, in Europe, all the soccer club leagues started this month, and in Germany, or the Bundesliga, Dortmund was hosting Werder Bremen Saturday. Now, Dortmund finished second in the table last year, while Werder Bremen was relegated up last year, which means they were not even in the league. So it wasn't a shock that Dortmund was favored at a -270 in the three-way and a -1.5, -105 in the two-way. Dortmund had the lead 2-0 going into the 89th minute, and the referee added 5 minutes for injury time, which means that the game would have been over after the 95th minute. Well, Werder Bremen scored 3 goals in that span. They scored in the 89th minute, the 93rd minute, and the game winner in the 95th minute. Werder Bremen won 3-2 and at a plus 630 on the 3-way ticket. So if you had Dortmund Saturday, you got hosed.
Yeah, that's an unbelievable comeback. You don't see that very often.
No, not 3. You usually see 1 or 2, but not 3. Do you have a you got hosed story, Joe?
Well, just same old thing that always happens. I have these awesome preseason football picks, and one just jumps up and bites me. I don't know why. I got New England and over the previous week, but the New England defense really showed up and only gave up 10 points, and the game actually went under. So I had New England, I had Baltimore, I had Pittsburgh, but I had to throw that total in there, and maybe I kind of hosed myself in that sense, but I feel I got hosed.
I think so too, Joe. But Joe, you're the only person I know that can pick those picks preseason like you do. So I don't think you got hosed too bad.
Yeah, well, football is where it's at for me. My number 1, hockey's my number 2. Obviously, we're a little opposite of that. So I do follow the preseason much more than most people.
Yeah, you do.
You got hosed.
So that'll do it. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Great having you back again, Gator, as we mentioned. I want to thank again Rockin' Ronnie McKinnon and Big Richard Martin, and, of course, all our listeners. And we're looking forward to doing another show next week. And thank you for listening to Covering the Field.
You've been listening to a Covering the Field sports show. Visit us at coveringthefield.com. Email us your comments, questions, and you got host stories at coveringthefield@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at coveringfield. Thank you to our junior IT, Caden Martin. Thanks to our assistant to the editorial staff, Boots McCage. We will see you all next time for another episode of Covering the Field.